Oh. All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to begin with the Fulton County State Courts misdemeanor calendar. This is the expedited accusation calendar. These are misdemeanor cases in which individuals who were recently arrested and booked at the Fulton County Jail, their cases have now been formally accused by the prosecutor, who is the Solicitor General of Fulton County. This would therefore be the defendant's initial appearance before a judicial officer. If you are a defendant so charged, please remember that you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you in the treatment of your case. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you. If you are a defendant so charged, when I call your case, I will let you know what is your accusation number, what are the charges brought against you, who is going to be your appointed counsel, as well as to set a bond if one is required. Some of you may qualify for what we call a signature bond, and that is a bond in which you would not have to pay for it in order to secure your release. However, you will have to comply with certain conditions. Failure to comply can result in a revocation of your signature bond. Vivian Baker, stop eating. Vivian Baker, stop eating. Thank you. All right. As I was saying, if you do not comply with your signature bond, with the conditions of your signature bond, your bond can be revoked and converted to either a cash bond or a surety bond. For those of you who do not receive a signature bond today, you will be granted a surety bond or a cash bond. These are the type of bonds in which you would have to pay out of your own pocket or through a bonding company in order to secure your release. Conditions may also attach to such a bond. Now, I do see that I have folks in courtroom 2. I have prosecutors and defense counsel on screen, as well as a police officer. These individuals, you may leave your video on, but please keep your screen on mute until it's your turn to address the court, all right? Please leave your video on. Individuals who are not police officers, not defense attorneys, not prosecutors, if you are a victim, a family member, or an interested party, please switch off your video and keep your screen on mute until you hear the defendant whose case you're interested in participating is being addressed. So Dora and someone on iPad 8, please stop your video, or our host will do that for you. All right, thank you. Courtroom 2, who are we addressing first?
Your Honor, before we get started, the reset date for the SAT calendar is May 14th.
All right, thank you very much, Bridgewater. Yes. Position 2. This is Salma Bonajra, accused of willful obstruction of an officer from April 30th, 2024. Ms. Bonajra, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Ms. Cook. Mr. Cook, is that correct?
Who is this? The client? I'm sorry, Your Honor. Was it the printer?
No problem. Salma Bonajra, position 2.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, excellent. And Mr. Howard,
Yes.
any priors on Ms. Bonajra?
Fifth arrest, 2023 FTA. Got an open case in Superior Court, 23 CP 220421. Possession of meth with intent, possession of cocaine with intent, possession of a Schedule 1 or 2 with intent.
All right.
Hold on, fleeing an officer, trespass, hit and run, obstruction. That's it.
All right.
And got an open DUI out of Forsyth County.
And what's that case? Oh, Forsyth County. Okay.
Yeah, but all the charges I just read is Fulton County.
All right, understood. Thank you. Ms. Mokaki, I've read the warrant. Any objection to $1,000 signature bond through the jail?
I'm sorry, Your Honor, this one.
Oh, Mr. Graham, I'm so sorry.
No worries.
And Mr. Graham, any objection to $1,000 signature bond through the jail?
No, Your Honor. The state is recommending signature bond through the jail with release only to the Forsyth County hold and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
Right. Ms. Bonajera, considering your open cases, please keep in mind that you've added one more open case to your list. You're granted a $1,000 signature bond through the jail. Presently, you can only be released to Forsyth County, so they would need to come and pick you up to address the DUI matter pending in that case. But please maintain a current address with the court so we can send you the summons to come back to court. And also make sure you do not consume any illegal drugs, no alcohol, and you're not to be in possession of any firearms. Thank you.
Position 6, next.
This is State versus Quentin Dooley, accused of willful obstruction of an officer from April 30th, 2024. Mr. Dooley, as well as all the other individuals who just joined courtroom 2, please remember that you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you. Mr. Dooley's also been accused of willful obstruction of an officer. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
Yeah, I'm about to chat you something.
All right.
All right, check it out. On top of that, he's been in custody since December. Got an open trespass out of Vegas, amounting to burglary, on probation for armed robbery, 2 counts.
Oh, that's good. Thank you.
All right.
Is it Mr. Graham?
Yes, Your Honor. My apologies.
Do you have any objection to a $2,000 signature bond with a release to the extradition matter only? He's not to be released, but only to extradition.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right. He's got a felony matter in Arizona, and he's got a extradition hold at the present time. Mr. Dooley, you're granted a $2,000 signature bond through the jail. However, you cannot be released. The authorities from Arizona would have to come pick you up. So this is a release to the Arizona hold only.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. This is still an open case, so when you resolve your matter in Arizona, don't forget us in Georgia. You still have this case to address.
I still have an open case in Arizona, in Vegas too, ma'am.
I'm sorry?
They do my case, is my case still open in Vegas and Nevada?
I believe so. Yes, that's why you've got the hold.
Okay, oh, I have a hold in Vegas and Arizona?
I just have an error. Let me see what specific, Mr. Howard, do you have the details of the hold? I
didn't even know he had a hold.
well, that's the only one that can keep him open.
Yeah, I'm not sure. They didn't put it in my file. Hold on, let me see.
All right, I'm going to hold off on this case until I find out the status of your hold. I don't have those details.
It's okay.
And you've also got a probation hold as well. So you'll be with us for a while. So this is a release to an Arizona hold and pending your probation hold. Thank you.
Position number 9 is next, Mr. McLaren.
Your Honor,
Mm.
Your Honor,
Yes, Mr. Cook?
yes, there was a little bit of a confusion on a pad case that was referred and then they pulled it back because they found another issue. So I still have to interview a Kelvin Banks at some point.
All right, is that the gentleman right now in courtroom 2?
That's not the one sitting before you now.
No, ma'am, we didn't know anything about it. We thought he was going to pass, and nobody didn't inform us, so we don't have that person.
You don't
Okay.
have that person? Okay.
Okay, well, he's going to be on the counter as an add-on, so we'll need to bring him, and we also have an officer here that's going to be testifying at the hearing.
All right, have you accused that case?
We have,
All right, so
and I've
that's
communicated that with the
add-on.
clerk's office, and they said they were putting out an add-on calendar.
All right, so Mr. Cook, as soon as we get the add-on calendar, we will address this matter.
Thank you.
And then he's not in the courtroom, so as soon as he gets there, you'll have a chance to speak with him.
Thank you.
All right. And I'm so sorry, who's in courtroom 2 right now?
Position 9.
No. Okay. State versus Ronan McClary, 24 CR 2662G, accused of theft by taking from April 11th, 2024. Mr. McClary, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Miss Kim. Any priors, please?
No, 17 years old.
All right. Mr. Walker?
Yes, Sean, the defendant was arrested for stealing a bicycle from the College Park MARTA station. That bicycle belonged to, I will spell the victim's name, Saleru, last name Sarr. The state is asking for a seizure bond through pretrial services, a stay away from all MARTA, no contact with the victims, no weapon, drugs, or alcohol. And because he is 17, we will be asking for an 8 p.m. curfew. I'm not sure if the victim is on the line, but we would sound for Mr. Sarr.
Mr. Sarr, are you on Zoom? All right. Miss Kim, do you have a parent co-signer that we can identify?
Your Honor, this is my case.
Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Atay. Okay, yes. Miss-
So Your Honor, his mother's phone is not working right now. It's been cut off. I have emailed her, but I haven't heard back yet.
Does he live with her?
Yes, he does.
All right, so I'm sure she'll be missing him and be checking everything.
Mhm.
So the bond is going to be set at 1,500. It's a signature bond through pretrial services, level 1. He has to have a parent co-signer, and if you can give me the name, please.
The name of the parent co-signer is Ronica, Ronica, and the last name is the same as his, McClary. And Your Honor, I would object to the stay away. I just want to state for the record that he does deny the allegations in the warrant, and the warrant states that he's identified as suspect 2. There's a suspect 1 in the warrant. It states that suspect, what is it saying? It says suspect 1 takes the victim's bike. So he's suspect 2, Your Honor. I believe he takes MARTA to get around. He doesn't have another mode of transportation, and he doesn't have a MARTA ban right now. So I would ask for him to be able to continue to use MARTA.
What? He may continue to use MARTA, but he cannot be at the, was it the College Park station?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Yeah. He may embark and disembark at any other station, but he can only go through the College Park. So he needs to stay away from the entire location. It's a $1,500 signature bond through pretrial, level 1. Mr. McClary, your mother will have to come down to co-sign the bond. The sooner she comes down, the sooner you may be released. You also subject to a curfew. You're not to step out of your home after 6 p.m. through 6 a.m. every day. Thank you. Your next court date will be sent to your current mailing address.
Position 1, Baker.
This is Jeffrey. I'm sorry, did you say Jason Baker?
Yes, position
Okay.
number 1.
Thank you. This is Jason Baker, accused of terroristic threats and acts, a misdemeanor in case 24 CR 2658F from April 30th, 2024. Mr. Baker, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Cook. Any priors, please?
Second, 2015 possession of marijuana.
Thank you. Ms. Mokeke?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I think this is my
Oh,
case.
is that
Who's
you?
Baker?
All right, Mr. Walker?
I
Yes.
was checking on that add-on. 1 second. In this case, law enforcement was dispatched to 2045 Ladon Lane, where they met with the victim, Jeffrey Baker. He advised that his son had been threatening him and threatened to take his life and kill him in front of, I believe, his mother, who is the victim's wife. The state is asking for a $1,500 surety bond, a no contact with the father, who is the victim, Jeffrey Baker, a stay away from the incident location. We are asking for a mental health evaluation with any recommended treatment, no weapon, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond. I'm not sure if Mr. Baker is on the line, but we would sound for the victim, Mr. Jeffrey Baker.
All right.
I am on, Your Honor.
Mr. Jeffrey Baker, would you like to contribute to the proceedings?
Well, I think that,
Well, in that case, you do want to contribute then.
Yes.
Would you please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
yes, Your Honor.
All right. How do you feel about Jason Baker coming back to the property or having any contact with you?
We have a current TPO that's in place now, and I was told that.
Who
if
issued the TPO?
I'm sorry?
Who issued the TPO?
I did. Well, the Superior Court, Fulton County,
And when was it granted?
on the 24th of April,
When did you file it?
on April 9th.
So you've already had your hearing?
Yes.
All right. And what's the TP case number?
Uh,
24 CV.
I'm sorry?
24 CV. It begins with 24 followed by 6 numbers.
Yeah, I don't have,
I have it, Your Honor. 24 CV 004 451.
All right. Okay, so Mr. Baker is already subject to a Superior Court order where he's required to stay 200 yards away from you and not contact you in any way, form, or manner. Would that be correct?
Yes, but I wanted to say something in terms of the mental health piece, if I could.
Are you going to go into his medical condition?
Well, yeah, my wife and I have discussed it, and we think that would be, that's something that's in the TPO as well, that would be ideal, advantageous for him to seek that,
Okay.
that part. And also, is it possible for him to get a signature bond? Because my wife, we're the only one who got to pay the bond. My wife would be able to try to get the money to pay the bond.
Well, number one, he's not allowed to have any contact with you. So he's not, and that order prevails until April 23rd, 2025. So he's to stay away from you and any of your family members, which will be your wife as well. So he's not allowed to have any contact with either one of them. And in order to, I just need to know if I grant him a signature bond, where would he live? And what assurance do I have that he will submit to a mental health evaluation?
Well, that's just it.
Can I say,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, can I say something, Your Honor?
Yes.
Okay. I did not put a restraining order on my son. I don't have a problem with my son being around me. My thing for my son is to get him the help. He's been in a declining depressive state, to get him the help that he needs mentally.
Okay. So do you share the same family home with Mr. Jeffrey Baker?
Yes, ma'am. But I talked to my son. The situation that happened yesterday was out of pocket, but I feel that my son is not a threat to me in any way at all.
Understood.
So I don't feel like, and I'm one of the only ones that can help him. So to have him not come around me, I don't need that restraint, if you will.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to help him get the help.
I understand, but now there's a situation between you and your husband, and then a situation with your son. So I also want to hear from the defense counsel. Mr. Cook?
Yeah, it's my understanding that Jason Baker could stay with some friends in the Atlantic Station area. I believe he is trying to find some work in that area. In fact, he has a job, and that this was going to be his first day of work, so he's going to miss that. But he believes he could stay with some friends in the Atlantic Station area. We would seek a signature bond, whatever level the court deems appropriate. I don't know the details of the TPO, if it names just the father, if it names both parents. I don't know what's going on there exactly. But he does not have to come back. He has another place other than the Ladon Lane address that he can stay.
All right, thank you. Let me just go into this brief background information. The protective order was issued on April 24th, 2024, and it goes into it stays in duration to protect Mr. Jeffrey Baker from April 24th until April 23rd, 2025. This alleged incident apparently occurred after the protective order was issued. So technically speaking, if this allegation is being alleged, then Mr. Baker has allegedly violated the Superior Court order for protection with respect to Jeffrey Baker, and he should be arrested for aggravated stalking, which is a felony charge. And that can be a bond for up to 3 months. That could be a situation of no bond for up to 3 months. So this is how serious the situation is. This is not a simple misdemeanor terroristic threats. I just want to make sure that all the parties understand that if this allegation, according to the warrant, is true and correct, Mr. Baker faces much more serious charges. Second of all, an allegation of threatening to kill a victim is not a misdemeanor terroristic threat, it's a felony terroristic threat, which means that the individual can again stay in jail without a bond. So I'm not certain why the prosecutor is going on this angle, but I will respect that position. Now, on this bond, Mr. Baker, considering the nature of the violation of the protective order and considering the nature of the allegation set forth in the warrant, I'm going to set bond at $2,000. It's going to be a surety bond. You are to have no further contact with Jeffrey Baker. You are to stay 200 yards away from Jeffrey Baker, as well as the location of 2045 Ladon Lane in Northwest Atlanta. You're not to consume any illegal drugs. You're not to consume any alcohol and not be in possession of any firearms or weapons. If the Public Defender's Office would like to have Mr. Baker evaluated, we can certainly avail him of the resources pursuant to a mental health evaluation. But otherwise, if Mrs. Baker obtains a proper location for Mr. Jason Baker to obtain mental health evaluation and treatment, that is something that the court will consider if there is a place for him to go and attend to seek that kind of treatment. In that respect, the court will reconsider the bond to a signature bond with a release to the inpatient treatment facility only. Thank you.
John, can I say?
Yes, Mr. Baker.
I just want to tell you that he wasn't aware of the even though it's got grant on the 24th, you know, I guess it took a while for them to send the paperwork.
Mr. Baker, when trust me, I understand the family violence court. When a family violence petition is filed, the judge will only consider the family violence petition at the hearing if the respondent, which is Jason Baker, has been served. I'm looking at the file. It appears that he has been served. You had your hearing and a protective order was issued. There is no need to serve Mr. Jason Baker with the final protective order. The fact that he didn't show up at the hearing, that's his responsibility. But the order was issued and it goes into effect the minute it's signed and filed.
Okay, that's what I was saying. He didn't know about it until yesterday.
No, he knew about it. He was served. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Baker and Ms. Baker, you're both free to go. Next case, please.
Matt,
Yes, Ms. Baker?
I understand that he can't get a signature bond?
He doesn't qualify under these circumstances.
Unless he gets.
Mr. Baker, please.
Okay, am I to understand that unless I can find a facility for him to attend for mental,
Yes, to enter, to be evaluated and or treated, yes, I will
how
reconsider
soon
the
do I
bond.
can I turn that in
You
today?
can take as much time as you want.
No,
He's got a surety
but
bond
he
at the
won't-
present time.
okay.
Thank you. All right, Mr. and Ms. Baker, you're both free to go. Courtroom 2, who do we have, please?
Position number 3.
This is Frederick Bryant, accused of criminal trespass in case 24 CR 2665J. Mr. Bryant, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Cook. Any prize, Mr. Howard?
14. 2024 disorderly conduct, open. 2019 obstruction, NOLO. 2019 ag battery. 2019 disorderly conduct, and 2014 battery DV conviction.
Thank you. Mr. Grant?
Thank you, Your Honor. This incident took place on April 30th, 2024. Law enforcement responded to a trespass call at 1835 Henry Thomas Drive, Southeast Atlanta. That's the Thomasville Recreational Center. Frederick Bryant had entered the center yelling at staff after previously being issued a criminal trespass warning on March 1st, 2024. And Your Honor, based on the history, the open disorderly conduct, and the previous trespass, the state is requesting a $1,000 surety bond, stay away from the Thomasville Recreational Center, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
All right, thank you. Mr. Cook?
Yes, Your Honor, my client's circumstances are such that he could not afford even $1,000 surety bond. We have no problem with the conditions recommended, but we would be asking for a signature bond at whatever level the court deems appropriate.
All right. Has the disorderly conduct case been accused? Maybe I'm not seeing it. Mr. Howard, do you have an accusation number?
I'll check for you. Just 1 second, Your Honor.
All right. In the meantime, Mr. Frederick Bryant is going to get a $1,500 signature bond through pretrial services level 2. He will have to report to pretrial services twice a month. He's to stay 200 yards away from the entire Thomasville Recreation Center at 1835 Henry Thomas, was it Henry Thomas Circle?
Henry Thomas Drive, Your Honor.
Henry Thomas Drive, okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Bryant, presently I'll grant you a signature bond, and you have to report to pretrial twice a month. And if you get arrested again for anything else, or if you return to the recreation center in question, you will be arrested again and you will lose your signature bond, which means that you might end up staying in jail until trial. Do you have any questions about your bond?
No.
All right. We'll see you in court. Make sure you maintain a current address with us. We have an address in Rex, Georgia. Is that still your mailing address?
Yes.
Do you go back to Rex, Georgia to check your mail?
Yes.
How far away is Rex, Georgia from here?
10 minutes. Yeah, 10, 15 minutes down Highway 42 Morton Avenue.
What is your current mailing address, Mr. Bryant?
This is 6572 Ben Creek.
All right. If you don't show up in court, then a warrant will be issued for your arrest for failure to appear. Thank you.
When is the court date?
We will have to send it to you to your address at Ben Creek Drive in Rex, Georgia, unless you give us your correct address.
That's the correct address.
I'm sorry?
Yes, that's it.
Okay, you better check your mail every day.
Judge, what was the bond amount again?
1,500 signature bond through pretrial, reporting twice a month.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, just for your information, the one disorderly conduct is out of Lake City, and the other is DeKalb County.
Okay, all right, thank you.
We could do number 13. 13 has a crime.
Christopher Woodard, who is counsel for Mr. Woodard? Ms. Appicelli?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Hannah Apicelli here on behalf of Mr. Woodard. I work with
Okay.
Jimmy Lewis, who I believe is counsel of record.
All right. Mr. Christopher with a K Woodard is accused under 24 CR 202666G with a misdemeanor offense of harassing communications from April 13th, 2024. Mr. Woodard, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is presently Ms. Hannah Apicelli under the auspices of Mr. James Lewis's office. All right, and what is his GCIC, Mr. Howard?
First.
All right, Mr. Walker?
Yes, Your Honor. In this case, law enforcement was dispatched to 290 River Hill Drive, where they met with the victim, Miss Emily Treadway. She advised the defendant showed up to her home unannounced and uninvited. She asked him to leave. He eventually did leave. However, he continued to text her numerous times, even though she asked him to stop. Law enforcement even reached out to the defendant and instructed the defendant not to contact the victim anymore. He continued to reach out and make calls, phone messages and text messages saying he was madly in love with her. He could not stop thinking about her, and that she was confused, and law enforcement did not tell him that he could not contact her, even though that was the case. And he continued to text her up until recently, as far as April 28th. We have had contact with the victim. She is very concerned for herself and her children. We are going to be asking for a $3,000 surety bond, an ankle monitor, no contact with the victim, a stay away from the incident location, which is her home, and also a stay away from her children's school, which is 805 Mount Vernon Highway. We're also asking for a mental health evaluation and necessary treatment, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond. I'm not sure if Ms. Treadway is here, but we would sound for the victim.
Emily Treadway, if you're present, please unmute and start your video.
Scott Smith here. I'm just standing in for the victim. I think the state relayed the facts. She's comfortable with him receiving a bond, and the state correctly had laid out the special conditions.
Thank you. Ms. Apicelli?
Yes, Your Honor. As the state did state, this is his first offense ever. He has no criminal history. He is a member of the Army Reserves as an 03. He's currently gainfully employed as well. As this isn't a violent offense and this is his first offense, we ask that you grant a $1,000 signature bond. I would agree with the stay away provisions as stated. I don't believe a mental health evaluation or a drug and alcohol evaluation are necessary, as he is in the Army Reserves and those things are, tracked by them. So I don't know if there's any concerns.
I'm sorry, what is tracked by whom?
He's part of the Army Reserves, so his mental health and his alcohol use are monitored by the Army already. So if there were concerns, I would imagine that they would have been.
I should trust the U.S. Army to monitor Mr. Woodard with regards to Ms. Treadway. Let's move on to another topic, please.
Yes, Your Honor. I was just stating that just regarding the mental health evaluation, that was the only thing I was bringing that up, not for him to monitor her or to stay away from him. The stay away is totally reasonable. I also ask that you not place an ankle monitor on him, again, just because he's part of the Army Reserves. He is going to be, he does do his weekends, trainings and things like that. So we would just ask for the $1,000 signature bond and the stay aways.
Mm-hmm. The bond is going to be set at $3,500. It's a signature bond through pretrial services, level 2. He will be reporting once, I think, virtually and once in person. He will be wearing an ankle monitor for 3 months for the months of May, June, and July of 2024. And the ankle monitor monitoring fees will have to be paid for out of Mr. Woodard's own pocket. Mr. Attorney Scott Smith, I'm assuming that Ms. Treadway is going to be filing a protective order.
She hired a law firm, Edwards Law Group, Joy Edwards, to assist with that.
All right, thank you. For the next 3 months, Mr. Woodard will be subject to monitoring to make sure that he stays 200 yards away from Miss Emily Treadway, stay away from her home, her work, anywhere where she's physically located, and this includes her immediate family members. He's not to communicate with her either through in person, through mail, through email, through a phone, a computer device, and even on social media or even through a third party. Mr. Woodard, I'm not going to require you to do a MH evaluation. That's something you can decide, or the Army Reserves agency can decide whether you're subject to that. But for the next 3 months, you probably need to let your superior know that you are equipped with an ankle monitor and whether that will impede your ability to perform for purposes of the Army Reserves. Next court date will be sent to his current mailing address. And of course, any violations of this court order will result in an immediate revocation and a no bond status. Ms. Appicelli, your client won't be released from the jail until the ankle monitoring agency comes and applies the ankle monitor, and then you have to sign a contract with regards to the monitoring fees.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, next case, please.
Number 7.
This is State versus Kendrick Dunham, charged with battery family violence from April 30th, 2024, in case 24CR2660Y. Mr. Dunham, you've been formally advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Miss Maureen McLeod. Miss McLeod,
Your Honor, excuse me, but this is across for position number 4.
Okay. Ms. McLeod, do you represent Kendrick Dunham?
I do, Your Honor. Good afternoon.
Okay. Good afternoon. All right. And Deputy, do we have Lania Jha?
She's at ACDC.
Oh, right. Okay. So we're just going to address this particular matter right now, since ACDC hasn't joined us yet. Any priors on Mr. Dunham?
4, resident of Florida. 2024 battery was dismissed. 2017 possession of cocaine dismissed. That's all.
All right.
Yes, Your Honor. In this case, law enforcement was dispatched to 912 Saratoga Drive, where they met with Marie. Well, they actually met with both parties. They advised that they are a couple that reside at that location. Miss Campillo went through his phone, and they had a disagreement over the content she found in his phone. Things became physical, and the officer did observe visible injuries on both parties. For Mr. Dunham, the state is asking for a $2,500 surety bond, a no contact with the cross defendant, no weapon, drugs, or alcohol while on bond. Nothing further at this time.
Ms. McLeod?
Yes, Your Honor. My client has no convictions on his history. Yes, he has been arrested, but pretrial clearly stated that both of his previous arrests were dismissed. So he has no criminal history, Your Honor. And he denies that he was the aggressor in any of this, Your Honor. So we would ask for a signature bond. My client also tells me that he would prefer no further violent contact with the cross defendant. He tells me that they are in a relationship and they just recently moved here from Florida. He's just getting sorted out. He just was supposed to start a new job, Your Honor. So this is what I would request, a signature bond for him, and that the conditions be no further violent contact with the cross defendant.
This location, is it a home or some kind of?
It's an apartment, Your Honor, and he tells me his uncle lives there. They are staying with his uncle at the moment.
Okay, Antoine Dunham.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Kendrick Dunham, your bond is going to be set at 2,500. It's going to be a signature bond through pretrial services, and that's going to be a level 2. You may return to the location at your uncle's place, 912 Saratoga Drive in Alpharetta, Georgia. You are not to have any further contact with Maria Campillo, and you are to stay 200 yards away from her, not communicate with her in any way, form, or manner. And your next court date will be sent to your address at 912 Saratoga Drive. If you change your address, please make sure that you let the court know first in writing. Please understand that a violation of this bond order can result in your bond being revoked and you being your bond either being converted to a cash bond or a signature bond. Thank you.
That's prejudice.
Yes, and oh, by the way, while he's on a signature bond, he's also to complete 2 anger awareness classes with pretrial services.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next case, please.
Position 8.
This is State versus Antoine Hobdy, accused of criminal trespass and simple battery family violence. Incident apparently occurred yesterday, and the accusation is 24 CR 2669D. Mr. Hobdy, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Cole. Oh, Ms. McLeod? Oh, okay.
Yes, Your Honor. It's
all right. Good thing you didn't leave.
It's a dual arrest as well.
All right.
It's a companion case, Your Honor, with Ms. Cabanas. I'm trying to find the position on that.
Is that individual also at ACDC?
Yes.
Okay, then we'll just hold off on that. Let's address Mr. Hobdy first. Any priors on Mr. Hobdy?
Yeah, 4th adult arrest, resident of Columbus. 2023 theft by receiving.
Columbus, Georgia, or
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
2023 theft by receiving, sale of marijuana, that's open. 2023 home invasion, ag assault, criminal attempt to commit a felony. Those charges were dismissed.
Okay.
That's all.
Ms. Mokeke?
Yes, good afternoon, Your Honor. For dispatch to 6258 Beethoven Circle, Mr. Hobdy and the co-defendant, Ms. Cabaness, had been arguing since leaving her job that morning. When they arrived home, Ms. Cabaness told the defendant that he could not come inside the residence, at which point he pushed through the door and Ms. Cabaness fell on the floor. She then proceeded to grab his PlayStation, which the defendant snatched out of her hands and threw on the floor, causing the PlayStation to break. The defendant states that Ms. Cabaness is the one who actually broke the PlayStation. He then pushed her again and she fell onto a chair, at which point the defendant ran outside and threw a rock at the rear window of Ms. Cabaness's vehicle. The officer did witness that the rear window of Ms. Cabaness's vehicle had been shattered and that there was also a rock in the rear window area. The defendant did admit to the officer that he threw the rock in retaliation. The state is recommending a $3,000 surety bond, $1,000 for the criminal trespass, and $2,000 for the simple battery.
And it was a surety bond or a signature bond?
A surety bond, Your Honor.
Okay.
No further contact with Ms. Cabaness. Stay away from the incident location, which is at 6258 Beethoven Circle, and no drugs, weapons, or alcohol.
All right. Ms. McLeod?
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 22 years old. Based on what pretrial has stated as his history, it appears that he has no convictions. I would ask the court to consider giving him a signature bond. He tells me that he does not live with the cross-defendant. They are in a relationship, but he actually lives in Columbus. He just visits her from time to time. So they don't live together. He does live in Columbus, Your Honor, so they do not have to interact with each other.
All right, and how old is he? I see a
22. Yeah.
22. Okay. On the criminal trespass causing damage to property, that's going to be $2,000. On the simple battery, that's going to be $1,500. Total bond is $3,500. It's a signature bond through pretrial services. And this is going to be a level 2. He's going to report to pretrial twice a month. I believe one of the meetings is virtual and the other one is actual. So he'll need to make that necessary trip from Columbus to Atlanta to visit his pretrial officer once a month. And then, of course, the other one would be virtual. No further contact with Ms. Cabinas, Lanisha Cabinas, and of course, to stay away from the location in question, which was, sorry, I didn't write down the address. I thought I did.
6258 Beethoven Circle.
Beethoven Circle, yes.
All right. Mr. Hobdy, you are to stay away from 6258 Beethoven Circle, and you're not to be seen within 200 yards of that location. You're not to communicate with Ms. Cabinas in any way, form, or manner, including via in-person, mail, email, phone, computer devices, social media, or even through a third party. This is an open, active case against you. You'll be required to report to pretrial services on a level 2 basis. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons. And you are to attend and complete 2 anger awareness classes with pretrial services. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mhm.
Position number 12, Wilburn.
Says, oh, I'm sorry, position 12. This is Zaire, I'm sorry. Did you say position 12? Oh, here it is, okay. Richard Wilburn is accused of criminal trespass and fair evasion on April 30th, case number 24 CR 2671C. Mr. Wilburn, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Ms. Kim. Any prize, Mr. Howard?
18. Got an open PI in the cab. Open case in Fulton. Certain acts on bus, rail, station prohibited. 23 CR 008 004C. Last arrest was April 12th in DeKalb County for that PI charge. 2023 trespass. 2023 battery trespass. 2023 trespass NOLO. 2020 PI trespass conviction. 2019 probation and 2018 FTA.
Thank you. Ms. Kim? I'm sorry,
Yes,
Mr.
Your Honor,
Walker?
it's my case.
Sorry.
Law enforcement was dispatched to 30 Alabama Street. I believe that's the 5 Points MARTA station. The defendant was observed going through the gate without making the payment of $2.50. Search incident to arrest revealed that he already has an active MARTA suspension at this time, and he was arrested on these charges. The state is asking for a $500 surety bond on each count. Stay away from all MARTA, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol while bond. On his last criminal trespass case from the MARTA, he received a $1,000 SOB jail.
Thank you.
That's still open.
Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor, my client is 62 years old. He's retired, and actually he has a physical limitation, and he's struggling with a residential challenge. So he does not have a place to go. He has no money to pay for any bond, and he unfortunately has no one to actually bail him out either. So we would like to request for signature on bond through jail or pretrial, whichever you deem to be appropriate in terms of levels. I think he really needs a signature on bond. He completed GED, and other than that, that's where he is right now. Thanks.
On each count is going to be $250. The total is a $500 surety bond to stay away from all MARTA. And his next court date is going to be May 14th. Thank you.
Add on position number 2.
Oh, and Ms. Bridgewater, when we reset this case to SAP, please also include 23 CR 008 004C.
Got it. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Deputy, what was that position number?
Position number 2.
2.
On the add-on.
Add on position number 2.
I got it. Thank you. Get to the add-on calendar. All right, this is Mr. Nuri Montes, case number 24 CR 2672C. Mr. Montes, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Miss Kim.
Oh, actually, this is not my client, Your Honor.
Okay, Nuri Montes, who is representing him, who has interviewed him?
He is my client. I apologize. He was a last minute add-on.
Yes, the add-on is a bit of a challenge. Okay, have you had adequate time to speak with him?
Yes, I spoke with him.
All right. Mr. Montes is accused of a false report of a crime from April 30th, 2024, and hit and run, failure of the driver to return to the scene of the accident. Any priors, Mr.
Howard, second arrest, 2022, possession of a knife or firearm during the commission. Sale of marijuana. Those were DWAP.
All right, thank you. Ms. McKay?
The defendant and a Sarah Cruz reported that Ms. Cruz's vehicle had been stolen. Ms. Cruz stated that she had parked her vehicle outside of a friend's home between April 29th and April 30th.
Just 1 second, please. Will the host please remove this individual on iPhone? I'm not sure what she's doing, but I'm really concerned. She can come back when she's done with what she needs to do. Thank you. All right, sorry about that, Ms. Mokeke. Go on.
No problem. When Ms. Cruz went outside the morning of April 30th, she stated that she noticed that the vehicle was missing. Upon investigation, it was discovered that the vehicle was involved in a hit and run and was located at Moody's tow yard. Ms. Cruz did eventually tell the police that she reported the vehicle was stolen because the defendant was not on her insurance. The defendant continued to tell the police that the vehicle was stolen, but after continued questioning, he admitted that he was involved in an accident on I-85 and that he left the vehicle at the scene of the accident. The state is recommending a $1,000 surety bond for the false report and a $1,000 surety bond for the hit and run. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons.
Do we have a warrant for the hit and run?
We do, Your Honor.
There are 2 charges.
Yeah.
Posted bond or the false report of a crime?
Okay.
So
I can forward it to you.
warrant number 39901. False report of a crime. 39901. Maybe I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, the clerk actually had to email it to me, and I'm looking it up now. But
Here it is, 39971. Sorry about that. Okay.
Yeah, it was hard to find.
Okay. Okay. Miss Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. We would like to request for a signature on bond or pre-trial, Your Honor. My client is a self-employed. I believe he is 23 years old, if I remember correctly. And he graduated from high school. He was a very good student, and he tried to go to military, but then he found a career as a dog breeder, and he's doing very well with it. He was born and raised here in Georgia. I would like to request for signature on bond because the first arrest, it was not they dismissed it because it was not him. So this is actually his first arrest ever. And I would like to request for signature on bond.
All right. On the false report of the crime, that's going to be $1,500. On the hit and run, that's $1,500. That's a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services. This is going to be a level 2 report. He is not to consume any illegal drugs, no alcohol, and not possess or own any firearms. He's also to, and he'll be subject to random screens. And he's also not to drive any vehicle unless he has a valid driver's license, adequate automobile insurance, and proper registration for the vehicle he's operating. If he's missing any one of these 3 requirements, then he's not allowed to drive at all. And we'll see him in court. Make sure we have a good address on him.
So
Yeah.
you sent him both through pretrial? Because I know he
Yeah.
bonded out already on the false report. So
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that what was just announced? Okay.
yes, and I had
He's
saw it
already-
earlier too.
Okay, so if he's already bonded out on the false report, then it'll be a 1,500 signature bond through pretrial.
I mean, unless he want to go get his money back, but I'm just saying I did see that in the system.
Well, just make a note, Ms. Bridgewater, he's paid the bond on the false report of a crime, which was a $2,500 surety bond. And his bond on the hit and run is 1,500 signature through pretrial.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is Mr. Cook still over the room? Can he please call courtroom number 2 so he can enter Mr. Banks?
I'm dialing it now.
Okay. Are we waiting on ACDC because,
Yes, it's Keith Cook. I need to talk to Mr. Banks.
and Deputy, what's the status with Kelvin Banks? We still have an officer waiting on that case?
This is the person that Mr. Cook is getting ready to interview now.
Oh, okay. And, all right, in that case, let's just go over the calendar while we're waiting for either ACDC or Mr. Banks. All right, so position number 1, Jason Baker, that's a $2,500 surety bond. What, it was 2,500, wasn't it? Or did I make it 2,000?
2,000.
I got
2,000,
2,000.
okay. So change that. It's 0, okay. Position 2 was $1,000 signature bond through the jail. Position 3 is a 1,500 signature bond through pretrial, level 2. Position 4 is on hold. Position 5 is on hold. Position 6, Quentin Dooley, we have a open capital offense in Arizona. So as far as we know, that's not a hold.
I never saw a hold.
Okay. Then I'll let Arizona decide how they want to do that. But in the meantime, he's got a probation hold, so this is going to be a $2,000 signature bond through the jail, subject to the probation hold, not the Arizona hold. All right, moving on to position 7. Dunham is a 2,500 signature bond through pretrial, level 2. Position 8, Hobdy is a 3,500 signature bond through pretrial, level 2. 9, McClary is a 1,500 signature bond through pretrial with a cosigner and curfew. Position 10 is on hold. Position 11 is on hold. Position 12 is a $500 surety bond. Reset date is May 14th, along with this other open case. And position 13, Woodard, is a 3,500 signature bond to pretrial, level 2, with an ankle monitor for the months of May, June, and July. And that's going to be further notice as well. All right, we'll be in recess until ACDC or Mr. Banks is ready to be addressed. Thank you.
And the add-on is 1,500 pretrial level 2,
yeah,
right?
yeah, excuse me.
All
The
right.
add-on for Mr. Montes, he's bonded out on the false report, so that's further notice. And on the hit and run, it is a 1,500 signature bond to pretrial level 2.
Judge, I'll be right back.
All righty. Hello, Deputy Milton. Are we ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon. After they hear their rights, I have positions 4, 5, 10, and 11.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Judge Law, and this is a misdemeanor calendar, which we refer to as the expedited accusation cases. These are cases in which individuals were recently booked and brought to the Fulton County Jail. Soon after that, the Solicitor General of Fulton County has formally accused the defendants of one or more misdemeanor offenses. Today, when I call your case, I will let you know what are the charges brought against you, who is going to be your appointed counsel, what is your new accusation number, and also to set a bond if required. Please remember that you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you. Position number 4, that would be Ms. Cabines. If you could please come forward to the chair. All right, Ms. Lanaya Lanaja Cabines is accused of battery, family violence, and criminal trespass causing damage to property from April 30th, 2024, involving cross-defendant, Mr. Antoine Hobdy. Would that be correct? Mr. Graham, is that involving Mr. Hobdy?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right. And Ms. Cabines, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. Cook. Any priors, Mr. Howard? Is he back?
Yeah, I'm back. Resident of Columbus, Georgia. 2023 ag assault, simple battery dismissed. 2023 theft by receiving, sale of marijuana. 2022 ag assault. 2020 trespass, false report of a crime conviction.
All right. Mr. Grant?
Thank you, Your Honor. Similar facts to the previous case. I will point out during the scuffle of Mr. Hubdy trying to get into the apartment or into the residence, Ms. Cabines was blocking the door, preventing him from going inside. At that point, she grabbed him by the neck of his shirt, scratching his neck with her nails. Once inside, she took the PlayStation, threw it on the ground, causing it to break. The officer did observe scratches on Mr. Hobdy's neck and the broken PlayStation. Your Honor, we also have in our history a 2023 arrest for aggravated assault and battery family violence and a 2022 arrest for aggravated assault, hit and run. Based on those 2 incidents and this one, Your Honor, the state is requesting a $1,500 surety bond, $1,000 on the battery family violence, and a $500 on the criminal trespass damage. 1-day anger awareness course, no further contact with Antoine Hobdy, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
All right, thank you. Mr. Cook?
Your Honor, my client denies the accusation is stated in the warrant. She did not break his PlayStation, but as we've already heard, he did throw a rock or a brick or something through her windshield. I believe this 223 aggravated assault in Muskogee County was dismissed, but jumping ahead there, I'm sorry, jumping back, this address is her cousin's house. She was defending herself. She has 2 minor children staying with her cousin now at that address. So she needs to get back to them. She also recently became employed at Waffle House, but just recently.
Where?
So we would, I'm sorry, at on Highway 85. She's not very familiar with the city. So Highway 85 goes south Atlanta to, I mean, it transverses Atlanta. That's the correct word. We would be asking for a signature only bond so she can get back to her kids. With something that she could manage financially and get back to work.
Okay. On the battery family violence is $2,500. On the criminal trespass is $1,000. Her total bond is $3,500. It's a signature bond through pretrial services. It's going to be a level 1 reporting. She has to report to pretrial once a month. She's to have no contact with Antoine Hobdy. She's to stay 200 yards away from him and not communicate with him in any way, form, or manner. She's not to consume any illegal drugs, no alcohol, and not possess or own any firearms. Within 30 days of being released, she will enroll in a qualified DVIP, which is a domestic violence or family violence program, and she must show proof of enrollment to pretrial services within 30 days of being released. In other words, Ms. Cadmus, by your second visit with pretrial services, you must show proof that you are enrolled in a family violence program. This is a 26-week program, and you must attend those classes every week and pay for them out of your own pocket.
Okay, I got a question.
This is not a condition of, this is not a adjudication of guilt. This is just a condition of your bond. Yes, what's your question?
I just moved to Atlanta, so would they give me resources of where I'm supposed to go for the class? Because I don't know nothing about Atlanta. I only been here 1 month.
When you report to pretrial services, they will give you a list of possible schools where you can attend such classes, or you can Google it within your area. Where do you live in Atlanta?
Right now, I'm staying with my cousin off of Old National in College Park. I'm trying to get my own place.
Within 30 days of being released, you must confirm your mailing address with the court in writing.
My
If you
mailing address is Columbus, though.
No, that's not your mailing. If you're living in Atlanta, we need your current mailing address. If you move to Atlanta to work, you need to give us your current mailing address and not your Columbus address. If you change your address, you need to file a change of address with the court. Because if we send you notice and you don't show up, you'll get arrested for failure to appear, and your signature bond will be revoked. And the payment of the domestic violence classes would have to be out of your own pocket.
Okay.
Thank you.
This per judge.
Yeah.
What is the bond breakdown again?
2,500 on the battery family violence and 1,000 on the criminal trespass causing damage to property.
Thank you.
All right. Maria Campillo. Ms. Campillo is accused of battery family violence from April 30th, 2024. This is case 24 CR 2659Y. And I just want to remember, was it involving
Dunham, Kendrick Dunham.
Dunham, right, okay. Yes, and Ms. Campillo, your attorney is going to be Ms. Atay.
This a first.
All right, and you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Mr. Walker?
Yes, Your Honor. Just briefly to repeat the facts again, the law enforcement officer was dispatched to 912 Saratoga Drive where they met with both parties. They advised that Ms. Campillo went through Mr. Dunham's phone. She was not pleased with the content she found in his phone, and the verbal disagreement turned physical. They both had visible injuries on their bodies, so they both were arrested on battery family violence. The state is asking for a signature bond through pretrial services, but no contact with Mr. Dunham, the requirement of a family violence intervention program, no weapon, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond.
All right. Ms. Atay?
Yes, Your Honor, my client is 21 years old. She is a Georgia resident. She is gainfully employed as a cook. She does firmly deny the allegations, and the warrant states that she fled to police officers hysterically asking for help. She showed them her injuries. As you heard with the cross defendant, he does have a criminal history. He also has a battery case from January of this year against his wife. And again, this is her very first arrest, Your Honor. She went to the officers running away from the home. She states that she acted in self-defense. He had his arm on her neck and she could barely breathe. And she's fine with the stay away and no further contact. She does need a one-time law enforcement escort to get her things from the apartment. And I would ask for a signature bond through the jail, and I object to the FVIP.
The bond is set at 2,500. There's going to be a signature bond through pretrial services level 1. Ms. Dunham, not Ms. Dunham, Ms. Campillo, your bond is going to be set at 2,500. It is a bond which you do not have to pay for today, but you will have to report to pretrial services once a month. You are to stay away from 912 Saratoga Drive in Alpharetta. You cannot return to stay at that location. You may visit it one time only with a police officer to retrieve your personal belongings. Otherwise, within 30 days, you must update the court with your new mailing address so we can send you notice of when to come back to court. You are to have no contact with Mr. Kendrick Dunham. You are to stay 200 yards away from him and not communicate with him in any way, form, or manner. Thank you.
Ms. Rankin?
She just said she can go. Just said she can go.
I'm sorry, I don't know who's talking. Okay, that was done. I'm sorry, who's at ACDC?
Position 10, Ms.
10.
Rankin?
Okay. This is State versus Tyra Chantrice Rankin, accused of simple battery family violence from April 29th, 2024. Ms. Rankin, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Ms. Atay. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
2023 reckless conduct, trespass, 2021 obstruction, 2017 probation, and 2016 shoplifting conviction.
Ms. Mokikeki?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Law enforcement was dispatched to 660 Northside Drive, Atlanta. I believe this is a restaurant. The defendant is accused of striking the victim, Ms. Deshira Rumpf, on the back of the head. Upon arrival, the responding officer spoke with the security of the establishment, who stated that the parties were fighting. He intervened and broke up the fight, and then overheard the defendant state that she was going to get her stripe, which he stated is a popular term for firearm. The security officer grabbed the defendant to prevent her from going to the car, I would imagine so that she would not be able to get the firearm. And then the defendant made a second attempt to go to her car, at which point the security officer handcuffed her and called 911. The victim and the defendant are in a relationship and currently reside together at 208 Ray Manor in Hampton. We did get a chance to speak to the victim, Ms. Rumpf, who states that she is not in fear of the defendant and wants to continue contact, that she has mental health issues and is currently off her medication, and that the victim, Ms. Rumpf, has scheduled the defendant an appointment to get back on her medication. The state is requesting a $2,500 surety bond. Though the victim did state that she's okay with further contact, the defendant does have that reckless conduct case that's opened, in which she did discharge a firearm. So because of that, we do have some safety concerns. So we are recommending no further contact, that she stay away from the incident location, that she stay away from the residence that she shares with the victim, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. And at this point, I would like to sound for the victim, Ms. Deshira Rumpf, who I believe is on the call.
Yes, I'm here.
All right, Ms. Rumpf, if you'd like to raise your right hand. Other right hand.
Oh, shoot.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
What would you like to tell the court?
I mean, like I said, I wasn't trying to press charges. And she has been, off her medication. And I did, in fact, get in contact with a psychiatrist to schedule her an appointment to get back on her medication.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Atay?
Your Honor, my client is 24 years old. She is the mother of one minor child. She has lived in Georgia all her life. She is gainfully employed, working at 2 jobs, and she also takes care of her preschool age child. She does deny the allegations as stated in the warrant. She states that the complaining witness did not call the police. You've heard from the complaining witness that she does not want to press charges. She states that she was thrown on the ground by 4 security guards. She did sustain injuries to her wrists, cuts and scratches on her arms, elbows, knees, back. I understand there is an open reckless conduct. She does deny those allegations. It's an open case. I would ask for a signature bond through pretrial services, no violent contact with the complaining witness, as that's what she stated that she's comfortable with, and stay away from that incident location is fine. Nothing further.
All right. Bond is set at $1,000. It is a surety bond. No violent contact with Ms. Shantarius. To stay away from 660 Northside Drive. She's not allowed to return to that establishment. no illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons and no firearms. So if Ms. Rankin owns any firearms, they must be surrendered to the authorities for destruction. Thank you.
You said a good bond?
Yes.
Is this
All right, this is position 11. Ms. Zaire Smith is accused of criminal trespass causing damage to property on October 12th, 2023. Ms. Smith, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Ms. Kim. Oh, Deputy Milton, by the way, on Ms. Rankin, her next court date is going to be May 14th.
you hear me? She's not here at the moment.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll tell her later. Okay, Ms. Smith is accused of criminal trespass causing damage to property. Any priors?
No.
Okay. Ms. Mulcahy?
The incident occurred at 1012 Brentwood Way in Sandy Springs on October 12, 2023. The defendant is accused of destroying the victim's bedroom window with a hammer. The victim is Diamond Williams, and at this point, I would like to sound, sorry, got ahead of myself. The state is recommending a $2,000 surety bond for the defendant. No further contact with the victim, Ms. Williams. Stay away from the incident location, 1012 Brentwood Way. No drugs, weapons, or alcohol. I'm not sure if Ms. Williams is on the Zoom, but I would like to sound for Ms. Williams at this time.
All right, Ms. Williams, if you're on Zoom, you can unmute and start your video. All right. Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor, my client is only 19 years old, and this happened when she was 18. She has no contact with Diamond Williams. She has no objection to stay away from incident location since she does not have to go there ever again. She denies the allegation, and her mother is here to be a co-signer. She's willing to be a co-signer if my client can go through pretrial service to get a signature on bond. She just got a job at airport. She's working at Five Guys restaurant as a cook. However, it's a very new job and she's not making enough money to pay for the bond. She had 10th grade and she is still pursuing GED. Indeed, she is planning to go for job course to be getting a training for being an electrician. We would request for signature on bond through pre-trial.
Bond is set at 1,500. It's a signature bond through pretrial services level 1. No co-signer required. She's just required to stay away from Diamond Williams, stay 200 yards away from Miss Williams, and stay away from the 1012 Brentwood Way in Sandy Springs, Georgia. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons. Thank you.
Add on position number 1.
Thank you. I'm almost done. This is state versus. Just pull that up, please.
Kelvin Banks.
Yes, this is state versus Calvin Banks, Calvin with a K, case number 24CR 2674Y. Mr. Banks, my name is Judge Lal. I'd like to remind you that you have a right to remain silent. Anything that you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you is Mr. Keith Cook. Any priors, Mr. Howell?
Yeah. He got an open shoplifting in state court, 23 CR 007 141Y. He got like 6 open shopliftings.
Okay, that's good enough. Thank you. Mr. Grant?
Thank you, Your Honor. These incidents took place over 2 days, April 28th, 2024, April 30th, 2024. On April 28th, Kelvin Banks walked into the Pick and Pay at 1388 Joseph V. Boone Boulevard, Northwest Atlanta. He grabbed 1 box of potato chips, 1 box of honey buns, totaling $80 and $120 respectively. On April 30th, Mr. Banks walked into the Exxon at 1617 Joseph V. Boone Boulevard, Northwest in Atlanta. He took a box of Nutri-Grain bars without paying for a total of $17. Mr. Banks, during the last arrest, there was found a glass tube with scorch marks on his person. Mr. Banks has been arrested several times in this area for shoplifting at these 2 locations and a few others in the area. As pretrial mentioned, Your Honor, he's got a February 17th arrest for shoplifting, a February 14th arrest for shoplifting, December 16th, 2023, December 11th, 2023, November 14th, 2023, October 26th, 2023, and June 29th, 2023, all from this area. Your Honor, the state is recommending for the bond to remain as set, $3,000 surety, that's $1,000 on each count. We are requesting a social worker visit, a stay away from the Exxon and the Pick and Pay on Joseph V. Boone Boulevard, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bonds. And Your Honor, I do believe Officer Israel Barnes is online and would like to make a statement.
All right. Officer Barnes, if you'd like to unmute.
I've done so, Your Honor.
All right. Okay, so if you please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony provided will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So Mr. Banks has 2 new charges for theft by shoplifting, 1 new charge for possession and use of drug-related objects. And he's also got a bench warrant from a prior shoplifting case where the bond is set already at $4,000 surety. What else would you like to add, sir?
There's nothing much more to add. I was just standing in on behalf of the victims because they're very intimidated by Mr. Banks due to all the prior shoplifting incidents that he has done at those stores. I've taken out 3 warrants from him in the past, and I currently have 3 more that I'm going to take out for him probably tomorrow. Like I said, he's 6'4", he's 200-something pounds, so the store clerks are very intimidated by him. He walks in the store, he just takes the things as though he owns the store and walks out without paying. And like I said, I've been dealing with Mr. Banks since November of 2023 with just reoccurring incidents with him shoplifting at these same locations. And it would be very beneficial to the store owners if he was to stay in jail for a little while.
Thank you, Officer Banks.
Your Honor, I apologize.
There we go.
Officer
Baptiste.
Yes, I'm Officer Baptiste.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, I do.
Yes,
Good
ma'am.
afternoon. I'm Officer Baptiste with the Atlanta Police Department Repeat Offender Tracking Unit, and I was referred with Mr. Banks' case. Several officers have been coming to me in regards to him with his history, and as they stated, he does have the 6 open cases as well as a 14 SC case for felony shoplifting. That's a first offender. I'm not sure if it's been deferred, but he does have that as well. Just wanted to advise.
Thank you. Mr. Cook?
Your Honor, I assume this latest group of cases was why he was initially accepted by PAD, and that we're back here. So I assume that was the cause of the change of position there. Your Honor, I'm going to defer to the discretion of the court on this matter.
Each count is going to be a $2,000 surety. His total bond is $6,000 surety to stay away from the Pick and Pay and stay away from the Exxon in question. His cases are going to be further notice to May 14th, including the 23 CR 007-141Y. Mr. Banks is not qualified for any modification of the bond unless there is an extraordinary change in circumstances. Mr. Cook, I would highly recommend perhaps a social worker visit just based on his conduct in front of the screen today.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
Judge Log, break that bond down again for me. I mean, I
$2,000 on each count. That's a $6,000 surety bond. Stay away and no bond modification.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Officer
Thank you.
Emerald and Officer Batiste. All right.
Thank you.
All right. We've already gone over the calendar. Do we need to readdress these additional charges? Well, I can do it. Position number 4 is a 3,500 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Position 5 is a 2,500 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Position 10 is a $1,000 surety bond reset May 14th. And position 11 is a 1,500 signature bond through pretrial. And position 1 on the add-on is a $6,000 surety. All right, that concludes our calendar for this first day of May. Everybody enjoy your Cinco de Mayo if I don't see you before then.
Not too much.
All right, take care, folks. Bye-bye.